Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Water and Power Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. This proceeding is being broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. Board of Water and Power Commissioners, please say present for roll call. Commissioner KATZ.
Present.
Commissioner LEHRER.
Present.
President McCLAIN-HILL.
Present.
Commissioner NEEMAN Brady.
Present.
Vice President RUIZ.
Present.
5 board members. A quorum is present. Madam President.
Thank you. I want to begin the meeting today by acknowledging the enormously difficult work that was done over this weekend by the members of this department. I can't even imagine what it must have been like in the storm and the rain and confronting the destruction caused by the storms. And so it is with great gratitude that I acknowledge them this morning. In addition, I also want to acknowledge the frustration that was felt by many of our residents as they confronted prolonged power outages and cold and darkness, and to say that on behalf of this department that we have that we take the work of serving this community very, very seriously and spared no expense or resource in terms of seeking to respond to this, once in a generation, hopefully, storm, although unfortunately it may not be so. Climate change may wreak this kind of havoc more often, and we will be working to be even more prepared to rethink our response, to rethink our capacity so that we can meet the needs as they grow. Finally, I want to, and I know that Marty will have more to say about it, to say how deeply grateful we are for the emergency response to the member of our organization who was injured as a part of the work over this weekend. I know that he is in recovery and that we wish him and his family well. And again, I'm confident that we'll hear more about that later. So I will move to my other opening remarks this morning, and that is the recognition of this final day of February, the final day of Black History Month. I want to take a moment to underscore the unique significance of Black History Month. It's a time of reflection, a necessary reconciliation of our nation's authentic past, filled with both darkness and light. And it marks an occasion to celebrate the resilience of a people, their power to overcome and to guide through their struggle across more than 400 years, our collective path toward becoming a more perfect union. This year's national theme for Black History Month is Black Resistance, which recognizes events in history ranging from rebellions and uprisings to civil disobedience and emphatic declarations of Black power, and in more recent times has yet again ignited the spirit of activism, social justice, and a comprehensive drive for equity. Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Elijah McClain, Tyree Nichols, and Keenan Anderson. Just a few of the names that have spurred outrage and galvanized a broader push for diversity and inclusion. Their stories have prompted resistance in a multitude of ways and inspired African Americans and their allies to challenge systemic racism in institutions large and small. Their fates serve as tragic reminders of what remains of our work to recognize and promote the fundamental human dignity of all people. It also puts into context the almost universal imperative among people who look like me to advance a counter-narrative, attempting to amplify our collective humanity, capacity for joy, and quest for significance. The past few weeks and months have seen a drive to cancel or deny the very existence of the central African American story and contribution to the growth and greatness of this nation, as states take up laws to literally perpetuate myths and whitewash history. And while often it is easy to become discouraged, to get angry or cynical, I choose to take a different path, as so many before me have. The path of hope, faith, of community, and gratitude for those everywhere who have joined in the struggle for recognition, for equity, for diversity, for basic human values. Through Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Maya Angelou, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X, John Lewis, Barack Obama, Madam C.J. Walker, Duke Ellington, Black leaders, movers, and shakers who effected historic change, and those on whose shoulders we stand today. We celebrate their leadership, their own brand of Black resistance, and the excellence they've inspired today in many, like Vice President Kamala Harris, Mayor Karen Bass, and others whose names I won't mention, except right here at JWP, many, including Anselmo Collins, Winifred Yancey, Simon Zeju, John Smith, LaTanya Bogan, Brianna Lindsay, and Shantae Mitchell, and the more than 1,300 employees of Black heritage who serve Los Angeles every day, stand as both example, as witness, and reminder of the triumph that is also a part of our story. I am grateful to this department for its ongoing recognition of all of its employees and its particular role in amplifying Black leadership and Black excellence as part of Black History Month. In closing my statement, I'd like to play a small snippet of the stories that we have been running on radio and telling in newspapers across the city of LA that stand as testament to the continuing history that we make as we continue to move forward in this great country. Reggie?
My name is Brianna Lindsay. I'm the director of the Water Distribution Division, and I've been at LADWP for 34 years. So I started out as a student worker where I shadowed different tradesmen performing the work out in the street, whether it was pipe fitting work, cement finishing work, and I fell in love with the work. So what Black excellence means to me is, first of all, honoring those that have came before me. We have to pay homage to those ones that have paid the price, sacrificed so many different things for us to be able to thrive in this country. I'm also thinking about Black excellence as empowerment. Once we get in a position of authority or leadership, we have a responsibility to make sure that we empower the other generation and give them opportunities so they can thrive in society. So that's Black excellence to me. When you think about Black excellence, it's not just what we're doing now, but what has happened before us and making sure that the marathon continues.
My name is LaTanya Bogan Jordan. I'm a utility executive secretary for the department. I've worked here since 2008. I'm on the retirement board, been on the board since 2013, and I'm currently the retirement board president. Black excellence to me is standing out, making a difference, standing above all, going over and beyond. I tell my children, you have to give not just 100%, you have to give 110, 150. You have to stand above the others to just be seen. That's Black excellence.
My name is Simon Zodu. I'm the Director for Power Transmission Planning, Regulatory and Innovation Division at Power System. I've been at Power System for 22 years. I started my career here in 2001 as an entry-level electrical engineering associate. Black excellence means to me not giving up, not seeing any bounds, just focusing on the work, making sure that I do the best I can, making sure that I work with others collaboratively to produce results, being an example, a mentor, not only to my children, but to all other Black, brown, and other community members within the city. Perseverance comes to mind, discipline comes to mind, patience, all the time working hard, working smart with others to produce results. That's what Black excellence means to me.
I am Wendy Yancey. I'm a director of Power New Business and Electrification. I've been with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power for almost 35 years. I began my career as a student engineer in 1988. Oh my gosh. Black excellence and leadership here at LADWP, to me, is all about setting that example and ensuring that I am not the only one at the department to excel in leadership. Being that service-oriented manager, leader, director, to grow and ensure that I'm not the last African-American director at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power.
My name is John Smith. I'm a General Services Manager, Director of Fleet Services. I've been with LADWP for a little over 22 years.
Well, Black excellence, meaning to me personally, is a mindset supported by my actions, right? That has a positive reflection to my community. So when I'm engaged with my community members, they actually can see the success and realize no matter whatever their social background is, that they can still achieve similar success as I have.
My name is Shantae Mitchell. I'm the Commission Secretary for the Board of Water and Power Commissioners, and I've been at LADWP for 7 years. I transferred to LADWP in 2015 as a Senior Admin Clerk to the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity Services. I moved on to work for the Office of the General Manager, the Office of Sustainability, External and Regulatory Affairs, and now I serve as the Board Secretary for a historical all-female board. To me, Black excellence is just that, excelling. Black excellence is our collective perseverance in all that has resulted in spite of all the challenges and adversities that come with the Black experience.
My name is Anselmo Collins. I am the Senior Assistant General Manager in charge of the water system. And I've been with DWP for over 30 years. I started actually as a student engineer back in 1991, and then I was hired on full-time in 93 as a civil engineering assistant. When I think of Black excellence, I'm thinking of perseverance, hard work, and dedication. That's what's needed, really, to be able to break that glass ceiling that existed for many, many years. As the first Black person to hold a job that I have, I believe I've been able to accomplish that. But that also comes with responsibility as a leader. And the responsibility is to be able to elevate and motivate the new generation of engineers so that hopefully someday in the future, one of them will achieve even greater successes than I have.
We have an extraordinary workforce, one that continues to make history every day. And you've just seen some of the most amazing, generous, and talented Black history makers in the city of LA, right here at LADWP. I am and would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that this time of year is probably my favorite because February and March are monthly celebrations that mean the most to me. As Black History Month comes to a close, we celebrate Women's History Month beginning tomorrow and International Women's History Day, Wednesday, March 8th. On behalf of your all-female Board of Water and Power Commissioners, an early happy Women's History Month. And I wanted to just make a note that while we will have more to say about it, before our next board meeting on March 11th, the department is hosting its first ever Career and Wellness Expo out at the Truesdale Training Center. And I just wanted to kind of take a second to put that out there to invite all of the women of this department and, you know, the progressive men to show up and join us for what will be a truly remarkable day. So thank you for that. And with that, we will, first, are there any comments by any other members of the board? Then with that, we will move to public comment. The history makers. Public comment.
Good morning. Public comment is now opened. We have one public commenter. Please be reminded that you have 2 minutes to address the board. The first and only speaker is Andy Siwak.
Good morning, honorable commissioners. What a wonderful video. Thanks for showing all that. Really inspirational and great to see. My name is Andy Siwak, and I manage permits for LA County-based RenewAge Energy Solutions. We are a contractor that specializes in installing EV chargers across the state. I'm here today to comment on the Charge Up LA rebate program that is run by LADWP. Now, since 2020, our company has installed hundreds of mostly level 2 EV chargers across the city. We are very proud of our role in helping to create the EV infrastructure that will enable the city of LA to meet its climate goals. We value our partnership with LADWP. However, we are experiencing severe wait times in receiving rebate checks. Of the more than 60 rebates we've applied for since 2020, we are currently waiting for a total of 36 rebates checks to be issued for installations that have already occurred. Now, some of these installations happened back in 2020 and 2021. By not receiving these funds, companies such as ours are forced to carry costs that we had planned on getting reimbursed for much sooner. This severely impacts our cash flow and curtails our ability to meet the strong demand that our clients have for EV chargers. And I want to emphasize, how important these rebates are. Many of our clients would not even consider having an EV charger installed were it not for the existence of rebate programs like Charge Up LA. That cover a very significant portion of the programmatic costs. So we ask that the commission work with program staff at Charge Up LA to increase the speed with which rebate checks are issued so that we can continue to build out the EV infrastructure the city needs for a green future. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude public comment?
Public comment is now closed.
Thank you. Then we'll move to a report by the General Manager.
Thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. First of all, thank you for highlighting our employees with that video. I always appreciate the fact that this board has gone out of its way to recognize our employees and the work that they do, and that was a wonderful example. I also, we had, along with that video, we did have a very successful event with Crenshaw High School, 10th graders, about 130 of them, helping on a branding exercise last week. And we did have a very good lunchtime event yesterday on Black Excellence downstairs with good employee attendance. We're putting together a brief slide presentation that I'll bring to the board for the next meeting to see some of the highlights of those events. I also want to thank you for mentioning our injured employee. As everybody knows, the work that we do, particularly, is dangerous every day, particularly in a storm situation where high winds and wet surfaces and cool temperatures, it really highlights the peril that our folks are at around the clock, really, as they perform this work. Often in the dark of night while they're trying to restore power to our customers. I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Benjamin to give a report on the storm, and he'll also give the board the latest update on our injured employee. So, Aaron, go ahead.
Thank you, Marty. Madam President, Commissioners, I'll start with the update on the injured employee. So on Saturday, Daniel Duran, an electrical distribution mechanic trainee, sustained a serious injury when he fell approximately 10 feet to the ground from the top of a bucket truck. Daniel was assigned to a line crew and they were in the process of restoring power during the rainstorm. Daniel was transported to Northridge Hospital and he was admitted. So the latest update on his condition is that he is under observation. He has a severity of his injuries are still under review of the hospital, and he is scheduled for the first surgery at the end of this week. Daniel's family is on his side, and the Down Worker program has been attending to all of their needs and taking care of the family so they can be supporting Daniel at this difficult time. Of course, the LA DWP family Daniel is in our thoughts. You know, our hearts and well wishes go out to Daniel and his family to make sure that he returns fully recovered and back to work. I just want to mention the professionalism and the support of the safety team. Nazir Faisal and his team, they were on the ground helping the situation, and they were extremely supportive of making sure that Daniel and his family takes the best care is given to make sure that this sad experience is supported by the department and its family. In general, during the storm, I just want to again thank for the entire LADWP family and the city employees, including all the agencies, the police, fire, public works, and the entire city family, for stepping up and responding to the storm. Within LADWP, we had all the divisions have on a heightened alert, to support the frontline crews, our information technologies group, supply chain, security, administrative staff, fleet, facilities, material supplies, and the entire department resources was put in place to make sure that we have enough support to get this operations done. We're still at a heightened alert and response levels until the last customer is restored. Before I give a status on water and power systems, I just want to kind of mention the resources available for the customers. We've put this, Joe Romalo and his team have done a great job of communicating to the customers on what numbers to call and where to get information. So I'll just go over them and then I'll switch over to the operational status. So the first, safety is the most important thing that we do during these events. The safety of our employees and the safety of the public. So I'll just make sure that when the public sees a downed wire or something that is infrastructure that is not in a normal state, please call 911 and our crew will go on this and make sure that system is restored and the public is protected. So do not approach wires. They could be energized and it could be very dangerous for public to do it themselves. The 800 dial DWP number is always available, so it's 1-800-342-5397 is our general number. There are other numbers that the public can call. The city services is 311, and the county hotline is 211 for any support functions that anybody needs for emergency, food, shelter, transportation, or any of the support functions that the county can offer. So with that, I'll switch over to the status of where we are today. Both water and power systems have elevated their response level, and both systems start off with a very detailed preparation whenever an event like such as this comes in to make sure that the systems are ready to respond. So on the water side, when the weather information was coming in right before it hit the LA area, the water system has prepared their entire operations. The water system extends hundreds of miles away from LA, and we've seen the different variations of the weather that we had to deal with. So anywhere from 3 foot of snow to sustained rain and wind that we've seen in the LA basin. LA's water system had to be ready for responding to all those variations of the weather that we were anticipating of seeing. So Anselmo and his crews have two major sections, the aqueduct section and the metro area. they have done their respective preparation work in order for us to respond to this weather coming to us on Friday, the February 24th. So on the aqueduct system, of course, is the major artery of the water system coming into the LA basin. The crews have done everything from getting sandbags and inspecting the flow of the canals and the waterways, and the facilities were checked for backup fuel, propane, diesel, and all those things that we had to do. Our communication infrastructure was checked in preparation. Our snow removal equipment, these are all prep work that has been done before the storm came to us. This is an amazing prep work that Anselmo and his crews have done to make sure that we go through the storm and make sure that our infrastructure is protected. On the metro side, the same type of preparation has been in place. With all the failures that we've had, those are all contingencies that the water system has prepared, from generators coming online to backup power outages that we've seen in different facilities, to fuel supplies, to communication backup systems, to any of those contingencies that we planned for. I think every one of them has been tested during the storm. And at the end of this whole process, the water system had 0 outages on their side, and the water was never in a situation where the water supply was in danger. Although we had to go through a lot of these contingencies, but at any given time, the water supply was not in danger of being interrupted or the distribution system impacted by the storm. So great thank you note to the water system and the way they have prepared for this and the way they went through this. One major event that has happened, and this is the sign of collaboration between the two systems, is that we had 4 poles that came down feeding the Van Norman complex, which is our filtration plant. So as soon as that infrastructure was down, the power system responded with the resources, the equipment, and everything that they need in order for us to restore the power back to normal. In the meantime, the water system has activated their contingency plan to make sure that our complex is served, and that worked as planned. But this shows the.
I'm sorry. Does that include on-site some sort of backup generation? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all the chemical systems that we have to keep online, and making sure that the facilities have control systems and all those things. So, as I said, every planning that we've put in place was tested during the storm, and I'm happy to say that they worked. We have some communication failures that again, we take very detailed note on what worked and what didn't work, and we will be coming back and reviewing those incidences that we could do better on. But the communication system is another area where we had failures, and of course our backup systems picked up, and we continued operations with that. The last part of this operations, and we're not done, we're still through the storm, is the major impact, the high-risk areas that the water system has to make sure that our dams and our reservoirs are safe, that there's no impact from this weather system on the infrastructure itself. So Anselmo and his team, with the engineering team, geotechnical engineering, and the staff that do very thorough inspections to make sure that the infrastructure is not impacted, and if it is, then we will put resources to make sure we turn it into normal conditions. These are high risk, high impact operational measures that we take way beyond the storm to make sure that the infrastructure is well inspected and well maintained after the storm. So that is the status of the water system. As I said, the operations is going to continue, even though we're seeing towards the end of the operations, as far as the elevated response goes, but our response is going to continue. On the On the power side, because we have seen the impact of the storm in the LA basin is a little bit different, the impacts that we've seen in the city of Los Angeles from the storm. So, Reggie, if I can get Steve, okay, the graph. Can I go back? Yeah. So just a picture of the number of customers that have been impacted by the storm. So we, on February, around 10 p.m., we've seen about 64,000 customers that have been impacted. And these are a variation of a large group of customers all the way to an individual customers. And as we got sustained weather pushing through the LA city, we've seen as we restore power to customers, we pick up more outages to our system. So you'll see the spike on February 25th, Saturday, is when the outages kind of peaked. And then you'll see the decline of the numbers as the crews have been responding to these outages. You see the numbers at the bottom of the date. We have started with 100 crews, 24/7, sustaining to all the way. We're down to 87 crews, and the number that I just got, that 22,000, is down below 10,000 this morning. So we're cutting into the outages as we go through this. The power system, if I can go to the next slide. The power system is organized a little differently than the water system, but the concept is the same. We have the generation, which is our generators all across the system in 4 states, transmission system. Our generators were not impacted by the storm themselves. We had enough supplies of energy generation. So this picture shows the 3 areas that have been basically contributing to those numbers that you've seen, the 70,000 people that were out in the city of LA. We had the transmission system suffered damages, just like the water system is extending outside the city of Los Angeles, the transmission system extends outside, so we've seen different weather conditions affect our transmission system. And our crews have been covering a lot of area to make sure that our transmission systems are repaired and restored, because that's where the biggest impact could happen from customers being out. So you see the first picture is one of the crews maintaining or restoring a high voltage transmission line. The majority of the customers that's seen outages are on the distribution side. So these are the poles and the wires and the underground water intrusions, cables that have been blown up, cross arms that have been broken. The crews, 80% plus of the customers that were out was because of the distribution system failures that we've seen. And that's where the most danger happens when the crews are responding from address to address, and they're transporting heavy equipment, and they're getting ready and staging for repairs. That's where the most danger is to our crews. So we always send a message to make sure that the crews are always safe. There's nothing in the work that we do that will allow them to take shortcuts. We give them the support, and that's the message I send them. When I was at the trouble section on Saturday, made sure this message is consistent across from Marty to the leadership from the commissioners, from everybody, is that safety is the number one purpose of why we want to make sure we respond, we restore, but we come out of it without injuries.
Can you pause for a second? All of us are, or at least the commissioners are LADWP customers, and so we endured what all of our customers endured, and including myself, and I'm assuming, Mia, you were not out, huh? I had a sustained outage, over 14 hours. And I know I've seen a lot of press and questions about our reliability and resiliency, and this was a colossal storm, and there's no question about it. And and it's very impressive what the utility and the team members have been able to step up and accomplish and out in the extreme weathers. But I think there will be questions that you get around root causes, what could have been avoided. And I'm hoping you can put together, as you look at the distribution system, I think you said 80% was in the distribution system, what was underground vaults, what was cross-arm failures, so that we can have a better understanding of what part of our system was not as resilient as it could have been, and better focus perhaps our future efforts, because I think we all believe we're going to get these colossal storms over and over.
Very much. I mean, that focus is going to be, and also one other area is that as we build infrastructure for the future, we have to incorporate. This is not going to be something that we have to prepare for every 40 years or 30 years. We have to upgrade our standards. So, definitely.
And so, will you be producing something at it? Okay, and we'll distribute. When do you think you'll have something for us?
This morning we had a staff meeting. We were trying to get. I asked the next 2 to 3 weeks is to gather the information and put something together where I can review and actually make it public, so we can learn from that.
Great.
Lessons learned. One thing that some things that causes outages during normal times, like the mylar balloons, play the role in here too. So somewhere that didn't go away during the storm.
Right.
So we will also, but I think the standards that we have to look at from an engineering perspective, I've asked some of the engineering leads to start thinking about our standards and whether those standards should be also modified for response. The last picture is a substation picture, and you could see the explosion that happened in this equipment. So there was two stations that had a major failure. Whenever a substation has a major failure, we have enough redundancy in the system where we can switch the source of power, and it might not result in an outage, but it gives us a contingency that we kind of took it out of our equation. So those two stations one was Jefferson Boulevard west of Western. It's called Distributing Station 39. That picture is I believe it's from DS 39. And then there was another station on Sherman Way, east of 405, distributing station 81. Those two stations sustained heavy damage, and our crews responded to repair that to get us back to the contingency levels that we are normal conditions that we want to be in. So those were the main causes of the outages, and we are still at elevated level of response as of this morning. We are reevaluating whether we should go down, but I think we're going to sustain the level 3 for another day or so until we kind of go down on the response level and then start doing the cleanup. The cleanup might take a little longer because we have to. It's very tedious work to go through and clean up after everything. Either crews have done a temporary repairs, and then we send another crew to do a permanent repair on it. So we have to go and sweep the entire system and put it back to normal. So operations are not going to stop for many, many days, but I think we're going to get to a level where our customers are fully restored here quickly.
And then we're getting new storms.
Hopefully not soon enough, but we're ready. I mean, we have to be ready. During the operations, we've employed all LADWP employees and crews. We had some help from a contractor crews that we as much as we could incorporate additional resources. Sometimes these operations are so restrictive because of the vegetation and the clearances that we have to go through. And we cannot just add more crews and be faster. We just have to take very systematic approach to clean up the system before we put crews on it. So the balancing act is important, and I think our superintendents and the leadership on the ground did a great job of making those decisions. So I can't thank them enough for being through this whole storm and putting their crews out there 24/7. So that's the end of my report, Madam President.
A couple of things, I think, to Commissioner NEEMAN Brady's, just as a follow-up to her comment, it would be, I would be looking for a formal after-action review brought forward to the board. If we could get it in 30 days, that would be terrific. In addition, while I have no critique of the work on the ground, I do think that this calls into question yet again our technology and our capacity to communicate seamlessly with our customers. And, there's nothing that we can do about, storm and wind and climate events, but we do have to very quickly address issues related to how we manage expectations, how we give clear and concise information, how we seamlessly both work as a department, and I'm curious about what our emergency operations protocols are, and how those roll up should we be confronted with an event that we haven't planned for, or that we don't see coming. So this is just a huge wake-up call as to what we're going to need to be able to seamlessly navigate if there is some either combined event or an earthquake or something of that nature. And so in addition to a technical analysis of our system, how it performed, where we might focus our work for resiliency purposes, I think we need to look at a department-wide update and real understanding of how our technology is working, how and what implications it has for our communications. I think you probably all saw the report of the couple who said they were getting different information about the same location. And I'm not exactly sure what systems they were using, but we've just got to do better to meet the demands of our customers. And probably the only thing worse than confronting this kind of disruption is being in an information vacuum and not feeling like there's a way to get reliable information so that you can plan your next steps while the department's doing its work. So I want, so I'd like also to have a report back on that in a very organized and structured way in 30 days, so that we can begin to understand how the department is moving forward.
And just, you talked a little bit about learning about things and information, and I think that highlights communications just broadly. I think you were alluding to it, but just I think that should be part of the report. I think there were communications on Twitter and online, but us having an understanding of the whole communication protocol for these type of events, I think would be valuable, and just a refresh, no doubt, on because now there's just so many outlets. And I was disappointed to see, we don't have to go into it, but a council member taking the opportunity to make this a political moment in a communication. And, that's obviously not fair given the circumstances, but we have to be prepared for those kinds of things as well.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. One is I grew up in the tropics where we relied on emergency generators, small devices, which I'm sure now are even smaller. So I'd be really curious to get some feedback on, for some of us, might be interested in exploring that possibility. Number two, is there a good news story for what it did to our reservoirs and, you know, the good news story about having more water and where it's gone and where it's going, and some of the projects we've done with Prop O and Measure W, like how they performed, and, you know, I'm hoping there's some of that. So I did appreciate the internal communication that happened through Joe, getting that regular sort of report twice a day was good to see. It was interesting to see that it was by council district, and and I do think it went political, and too bad. But anyway, thank you for the hard work. Amazing that there wasn't any more damage as there could have been. Everybody did and is enjoying the snow, so I'm wondering what that's going to. I think it was really a nice byproduct, so to speak. So we should get more water too, based on that, right?
We'll definitely help in our water supply. So, and as Aaron said, I mean, certainly a storm like this is always a learning experience, and I agree that, you know, communications are the biggest challenge, and so working on information flow and communications is something that we're going to be focusing on, and we'll report back to the board on our plans and progress. I'd like to turn over quickly to Anselmo. He has going to talk about the tap-off. Is that a brief presentation? I know we have a lot to cover today.
Yeah, I'll touch a little bit on water supply, Marty, if you don't mind, and then I'll touch on the tap-off event. So, commissioners, yes, the byproduct of all this has been a great snowpack. So we have seen our snowpack increase significantly to the point that right now in the Eastern Sierra is around 201% of normal as of April 1st. So this is kind of looking like 2019 once again. And if we could keep getting more precipitation, it could be more like 2017 when we had a record year. In downtown LA, we're around 187% of normal, which means we have over 20 inches of water in LA itself. And talking about Measure W, we've been able to actually capture 72,000 acre-feet of water between October last year and now, which is basically the water year that we're in. So it's been a pretty...
I want to provide a context of how much that is of our annual water supply. 72,000 is what?
Yeah,
like
so our water consumption in a typical year is approximately 500,000 acre-feet. So when you look at 72,000, you realize you're talking about more than 10%. And in drought years like our demand was around 450,000, so even more significant. So the Eastern Sierra, like I said, 201% of normal as of April 1st. The Northern Sierra, which is what you use to measure how the State Water Project is doing, they're on 124% of normal as of April 1st. So because of that, the Department of Water Resources actually increased the State Water Project allocation from 30% to 35%. So that's a really great news to Southern California, to Metropolitan Water District and its member agencies. Now, because of that, the shortest conditions that existed no longer exist at Metropolitan Water District for those state water dependent areas. And I think, as you recall, there were six specific member agencies that were considered state dependent areas, Los Angeles being one of them. So because this condition no longer exists, Metropolitan is considering in March rescinding their mandatory restrictions that have been in place basically since June of last year. So if that happens, that will take place immediately. What it means to Los Angeles is that I will be making a recommendation to the general manager. The general manager will then recommend to the mayor to go ahead and step back our phasing of our water conservation ordinance. We are at phase 3, which limits it to 2 days a week. If we step it back to phase 2, it would mean 3 days a week of irrigation. So kind of going back to normal, the way it's been since 2009. Now, even though this is really great news, I will tell you that the conditions in the Colorado River Basin have not improved that much. Lake Mead is around 29% full, and Lake Powell is around 22% capacity. So there's still some pretty big challenges in the Colorado River and all the states that it serves, all 7 states plus Mexico that receives water from the Colorado River. And that's all I have on the water supply situation for you. The next thing I wanted to talk about is actually it's about a competition that took place. And Reggie, if you can actually go ahead and start showing some of the pictures. So last Wednesday, the Water and Power, the Water Distribution Division hosted the tap-off competition. And this competition is not just a competition, but also an emergency preparedness fair. And this was done over at our Silmar facility, what we call Silmar West, which is our training facility. It's the 11th year that we hold this competition, and it features a variety of skills. And for example, we have our tapping competition, where you see here a team, this is the LA Tappers, they're tapping a water main. And the idea is to see who can do it fastest and also to make sure that you have no leaks. We also have it called hydrant hysteria, meter challenge, and hot flare. The event also was larger than normal, actually. We actually had over 400 people attending, which was a great turnout. And I think part of the reason for that is because we also had several vendors and exhibitors out there. I believe we have something like 28 exhibitions out there, including water system safety. We had Local 18 was there. Some of our healthcare providers were there, the credit union, and many vendors that were demonstrating their products. So as you can see in these pictures, these are a variety of the skills that our staff was demonstrating out there. And the LADWP did really well. So we placed second and third in the tap-off competition. We placed first in what we call hydrant hysteria. And we also were the winners of the meter challenge, specifically Mr. Sergio Barragan and Jesse Garcia, who placed first and second in that one. And also we dominated in the hot flare competition with the first place that was backed by one of our own, Chris Torres, and also Justice Baldwin, who took second place. So we did really well. So congratulations to these employees for their excellent performance. And also want to give kudos to the Water Distribution Division because they put on a very successful, fun, and I think also educational event. It's growing success to basically just highlights the incredible skills and teamwork that employees utilize every single day to maintain and repair the vast water distribution system that we have. We do have a short video of the event that if we can go ahead and show, that would be great.
This is a water distribution tap-off, and so the winning top three teams actually get to go to the AWWA conference and compete there as well. A couple of different events included in this. Water main tap. This competition is significant because the tapping competition is actually core work. When I first started in this organization, that was one of the things that I had to learn how to do, to actually tap the water main by hand, install the copper, and hook it up to a water meter service. And that work still goes on to this day. We have Meter Madness, where you have a box full of parts that are given to you, and you have to assemble a meter. And so that's done on a time basis as well. And we also have an event called the hot flare competition, where you're actually hot flaring a piece of copper. Hot flaring means it's under pressure. And so you're tapping a piece of copper and flaring the ends and connecting it onto a service. These teams are awesome because not only do they do this on a regular basis, but they commit their own time. So these guys are staying 3 and 4 hours after work just to get the times right. It's a huge commitment, and I'm very proud of the teams that we have here. This event is pretty significant because it's not just a tap-off. It's also a health fair, and we also have a safety function that's going on here as well. So we have all the different vendors that provide safety equipment, and we also have our internal safety section that are supporting us as well. There's a lot of camaraderie. We have people from different groups, different backgrounds here at the event. We have everyone from engineers to field folks and to safety section. Everyone supports this event. I invite any crew that wants to participate in the tapping to come on out. Hopefully we'll continue this on a yearly basis, and I'm looking forward to what's to come.
So I had a chance to be there for this event, and I got to tell you, it's pretty amazing to see these people doing this work. I did tell one of my employees that I'm going to go and get trained, and I will, at some point, try doing some of these things and see if I can hang. I don't think I'll be competing, but at least I'll try to do some of the same work after I'm properly trained and certified to do it, of course.
And of course, we'll have a video of this.
I don't know if videos will work that particular day, but we'll see.
Management team. That's good.
I'll do it with you. We could be a team.
There you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Anselmo. One thing that shows that it's a very wet endeavor, so not so fun in the wintertime, but a lot better job in the hot summer day. Just for briefly to wrap up, I'd like to just emphasize that we start Women's History Month next month, and we have a number of events planned, not only the March 11th event at our Truesdale Training Center, but we have a kickoff event on International Women's Day on March 8th. There's a lunchtime seminar. Deputy Mayor for Energy and Sustainability, Nancy Setley, is hosted by our Green team, doing a discussion at lunchtime that includes lunch. And the Women's Council has done a fantastic job of organizing a number of events. It's also an International Women's Day pledge that day, committing ourselves to greater advancement of gender equity in the workforce. So we'll have a number of events coming up. Those will all be well publicized to make sure that both the board and all of our employees are aware of those. So with that, that's the conclusion of my report. Let's have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Next is item number E, introduction of motions for future consideration. Any future motions? Seeing none, let's go to item F, which is the comments from our ratepayer advocate on agendized items. Any comments?
No special comments today. If questions arise on individual items, we'll have something to say.
Thank you. Item number G, do we have any statements from neighborhood councils?
No community impact statements or formal positions were filed by any neighborhood councils on any of the items on today's agenda.
Okay, we'll move to item number 8, consideration of items recommended for approval. We have 13 items this morning. Would anybody like to call any of them special? Seeing no items called special, can I have a motion to approve our 13 items?
So moved. Seconded.
Please call roll.
Commissioner KATZ?
Aye.
Commissioner LEHRER?
Aye.
President McCLAIN-HILL, she's out. Commissioner NEEMAN Brady?
Aye.
Vice President RUIZ?
Aye.
4 ayes, motion adopted.
Those items have been approved. Next is item number I, management reports, and I'm excited to say the first up is presentation regarding shade ball recycling research by Morehouse Historically Black College and University students. And I just want to say before we get started, I had the opportunity yesterday to meet these upstanding young gentlemen, Chase and Mateus, and with their advisor, Dr. Ellison. I just want to say how excited I am to hear this presentation this morning.
Good morning, commissioners, staff, community. Robert Mateau, Assistant General Manager, Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. It's a pleasure to be here today. I want to start off by recognizing the contributions of our Black employees here at LADWP. The dedication, their professionalism truly embodies how we serve the community and how we serve the city. So I want to thank you for their excellence. In recognition of Black History Month, we are pleased to bring a presentation forward to you today. This is a result of a collaborative relationship between LADWP and our institutions of higher learning, and particularly our historically Black colleges and universities, our HBCUs. We are proud to have our presenters today from Morehouse College, Mr. Chase Garrison and Matthias Germain. They are accompanied today by their advisor and mentor, Dr. Christopher Ellis. Welcome. They come from Atlanta. HBCUs have been a partnership that LADWP continues to leverage. It provides contributions in the areas of sustainability and technology. The presentation before you today is going to build on that relationship. We're excited to have them here. We think the presentation on shade balls is innovative. It's going to contribute to the sustainability of our community, and I think we're looking at our future workforce. The success of our organization here at LADWP is going to really hinge on our ability to attract and retain the best and the brightest. A continuation of our efforts with diversifying our workforce and reaching out to our communities that have been traditionally disadvantaged and left behind, we think their partnership, their commitment, and the continued efforts are going to contribute to the success of this organization. I want to thank them for participating. I want to thank everyone that has supported the events during Black History Month. I want to thank you, Vice President Ruiz. You showed up yesterday at the reception and for the Black History Month event. Thank you to the support of General Manager Adams. Our communications department, as well as Dakota Communications, has been outstanding with putting the word out. So we look forward to more events such as these. The future looks bright for our department. The future looks bright for our relationship with LADWP and the HBCUs. I'm going to pass it over to our Senior Assistant Manager of Water Systems, Anselmo Collins. He's going to provide background on this sustainability presentation and have a few words.
Thank you, Robert. So absolutely, as this board knows, the Department of Water and Power was the first one to ever use shade balls on our drinking water reservoirs. It was one of those internet sensation things when we did it. So at LA Reservoir, we installed 96 million shade balls in 2015. And those have been instrumental in us being able to continue to comply with the water quality regulations, be able to minimize the use of chlorine for algae control. So, but they have a useful life. When those shade balls were put there, the useful life was determined to be 10 years. However, we've done some assessments, and in working with the regulatory agency, they gave us a 5-year extension. So we have a total of 15 years, which means that in 2030, we are required to replace these shade balls. This is the most cost-effective way for us to protect the drinking water that's at LA Reservoir. So what better than to have students look at alternatives as to how to properly recycle or reuse these shade balls. These are high-density polyethylene, around 4 inches in diameter. I think most of the commissioners have been out there and seen it. And these two young men, Chase and Matthias, have done a great job in identifying what can be done with it. I am very happy to be able to listen to the presentation. I first knew what they were working on LinkedIn because actually Chase posted it, and I friended him immediately. So I think that this is a good opportunity. I do want to thank some of the staff that work with them on this, some of their mentors, Kathy Chavez-Morris, Nima Jabari, and Marcelo Martinez, that were instrumental in working with these two young men. So with that, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So good morning. I am Chase Garrison from Morehouse College, and like you said, for our project, we were tasked with coming up with recommendations on how to recycle these 96 million shade balls that currently sit on the Los Angeles City Reservoir.
And my name is Matthias Germain, and I'm also from Morehouse College. So shade balls, as Ansel said, are 4 inches in diameter and made of high-density polyethylene. They have a 10 to 15-year lifespan.
Yeah, so these shade balls currently serve as a layer of protection between the reservoir and the sun. In the drinking water, there's bromide, which is a naturally occurring compound. And when that compound reacts with the sun, it creates bromate, which is harmful for humans upon consumption in high concentrations. And so in order to complete our task, we researched 4 different methods on how to recycle these 96 million shade balls.
So method 1 would be recycling the shade balls and using the plastic for other purposes. Method 2 would be recycling the plastic and reusing them to create more shade balls. Method 3 would be reusing the shade balls as they are. And method 4 would be removing and disposing of the shade balls completely. So shade balls are made of HDPE, a very common plastic that's used, that can be recycled and used for items such as plastic lumber, containers such as shampoo bottles, flooring, tiles, piping. It's used everywhere.
Yes. And although there are many, daily common uses for this plastic, 96 million balls far exceeds the amount of material that's needed for said products. So I believe that a more efficient way to use this recycled plastic would to be molded into playground sets. I believe that this would encourage the Department of Water and Power to work with other municipalities here in the city of Los Angeles. And the advantages of using this plastic on playgrounds will require less maintenance, reducing cost and labor. And on the other hand, there would be have to be a new installment of shade balls on the reservoir to to stay with compliance, and so that would increase upfront costs. But another way of recycling this plastic would be to use them be molded into new shade balls. And so they would have to be clean, shaved, melted, and molded into new shade balls, and use a proprietary method to combine the recycled plastic with new virgin plastic. And so this would, I believe, be the best use for the Department of Water and Power here. Once it's understood how to process it, clean it, and remove them from the reservoir while simultaneously putting them back on to stay within compliance so that the reservoir is covered. And so our third method that we found we wanted to kind of get away from actually recycling the plastic and see if there was a way we could reuse the shade balls in their current form right now. And so there's some uses for these types of balls, one being to help manage algae blooms in different bodies of waters and water systems, as well as helping with housing insulation.
And as Chase said earlier, while these uses can be useful, only, realistically speaking, only large-scale construction and high-volume processing facilities can deal with the amount of shade balls that we have. So our research was predicated on this fact. And in that research, we found something called the bubble deck slab. It is a construction technique that was created in Europe around a decade ago, where they put hollow HDPE balls within slabs of concrete to reduce the volume of the materials used. This decreases the weight of the slab, which in turn can reduce the amount of materials used for the building by up to 50%. It reduces the time needed for construction, energy costs, etc. And they can be made using the shade balls we have on hand. It would be great if the Department of Water and Power would be able to propose projects using these slabs with their contractors to spread the technique around the city. It also improves earthquake resistance among the buildings, so it's very useful for LA. And as for method 4 is the complete disposal of the shade balls. There are 3 main reasons why I would see this being necessary, which would be a lacking budget, a complete shutdown of the reservoir requiring a quick removal of the shade balls, or there's some unknown factor with the shade balls that causes them unable to be recycled, and the reuse options are not viable. The complete disposal of shade balls have 2 main options available to us. That would be the landfill and waste to power. Landfills are well known to take a lot of space, cause toxic groundwater seepage, and generally just very bad for the environment, high greenhouse gas emissions. While waste to power is a somewhat newer technology created in the 1950s that burns the material and creates a lot of toxic particulates and high greenhouse emissions. It is honestly not one of the options we should be considering, but it's necessary to say.
Agreed. So to analyze our 4 different methods, we basically ranked them on cost, environmental and community impact, as well as logistics and probability. And based on this analyzation, we came with the recommendation that we use the third method of reusing the plastic balls in their current form for the bubble deck slabs.
And in addition to that recommendation, we also have some recommendations of what the LADWP can do now in order to, I guess, get things moving, no matter which method you choose to pursue. And the great thing is that we need to start today, yet LADWP started yesterday. And you guys already are moving these projects forward, which are determining methods to retrieve the shade balls from the reservoir and a storage facility for the shade balls that would give us a lot more flexibility of when to deal with them, whether it be budgetary constraints, maybe a bottleneck in the supply chain requires us to, I guess, have a place to store the shade balls as the bottlenecks are worked through. And this is method 5. While not an official method, it's something to consider. We have a timeline of 10 to 15 years. There's lots of future innovations that, while not ready on industrial capacity now, they could be ready then. Among them are using mushrooms and bacteria to break down plastic. It's been done in laboratory settings. And another is using a pyrolysis plant to convert HDPE directly into fuel oil. And then from fuel oil to mostly diesel, sometimes gasoline. There are already plants that you can buy online and in production, but I haven't seen any large-scale versions in the local area that we could use. So those are some things to look forward to.
So I just, on behalf of myself and Matthias, I want to thank all of you for allowing us to come and present today. And I want to ask if, open it up for any questions you have for us.
So my question is, I hope that once you graduate, you come back and apply at JWP. So are you going to, would you consider that, coming back and applying?
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely, yes.
And so, commissioners, any questions or comments?
I have a question. So first of all, fantastic research. I think there's some really important and viable options here. I was curious, I hadn't heard of that construction technique with the concrete slabs. As part of your research, did you have an opportunity to speak to anyone either in the construction side of DWP or local general contractors about their interest in that method and whether they see it as viable for Los Angeles?
So no,
Go
ahead.
So, no, we have not had a chance to speak about the viability of the technique, especially with the use of our shade balls specifically. I kind of assume, since it has not been used in America, we would bring in outside contractors, probably from Europe, to kind of show us around how to use it, design it, etc. There's many benefits to the technique, both environmentally and safety-wise, and also cost-wise too. So yeah, it'd be great if we could bring that to LA City.
Thank you.
That was a good question. I had a similar one, but I guess going back to what triggered, I'm curious what triggered you doing this project to begin with.
So for me, I actually received a call. There was an innovation and tech HBCU day that the city of Los Angeles held. And so what they did, they got 6 groups of 2 engineers from HBCUs all over the country, and we got assigned to different municipalities and engineering divisions here in the city of Los Angeles. And so we were paired with some engineers, and each of us got a project to do, and they chose 3 teams to come and present to the city of Los Angeles Board of Public Works, and we were one of the teams chosen. And so we were both selected to do this project.
I just want to comment how impressed I am. A little bit emotional, I must say. It's pretty special. And I see some adults that, you know, you're probably dealing with. There's a young woman there, might be a teacher, might be a parent, and your teacher. Congratulations, because I know it takes a level of discipline at home and at school, and that you must be inspired by. So, are you studying engineering?
Yeah, so I am a senior applied physics major and math minor in the dual degree engineering program at Morehouse College, and I plan on concentrating in mechanical engineering.
And you?
I am a sophomore engineering major at Morehouse College. I'm still undecided on what pathway of engineering I want to go down, but that's what internships like this are for.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And so that was an excellent presentation. I'd like to invite up Dr. Ellis their advisor to say a few words. And so, Dr. Ellis, how'd they do? What'd you think?
I'm always impressed with these two gentlemen. I think they did an excellent job.
Well, introduce yourself. I know who you are, but...
Great. Got a couple notes here for myself. Well, good morning. I'm Christopher Ellis. I am the program manager for the dual degree engineering program at the Atlanta University Center Consortium. The consortium is comprised of Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, Spelman College, and Morehouse School of Medicine. We were established in 1969. We are the first and oldest dual degree program in the United States to partner with which is a predominantly white institution. And from that relationship, Georgia Tech was our first PWI that we went into partnership with. And so I am absolutely ecstatic to be standing here today to witness yet again what opportunities like this actually do for students such as Chase and Matthias. I want to thank you for allowing Chase and Matthias to present their research before you this morning. I also like to thank the various members of the LADWP for their warm reception on yesterday, their gracious opportunity that they provided the students to ensure that they were able to network, to be exposed to industry experts and mentors. And with that said, I do want to just share a story. You asked the question of how did they get selected and chose to research. I remember the day when Chase called me. He was actually in class, and he called me and says, Dr. Ellis, I just got a call from City of Los Angeles, and they want me to participate in this research. What do you think I should do? And so I told him, well, did they send you an official letter? Anything, send it to me so I can read through it, get some research. And before you respond, do your research. See what it's about, and let's follow back up. But he told me, well, they only gave me to the end of this week to let them know. Do your research, come back, and we'll discuss. The next day he comes and he says, I looked them up. It seems good. What do you want me to do? What do you think? So I looked at it, and I told him, I think this is a perfect opportunity, but the choice is yours. So collectively, we shared some ideas, some thoughts, and decided that this is an opportunity for me. And so he responded the third day, I think is when he called back and said he wanted to come. And so I share that story not for any accolades for myself, but to show you what the power of mentorship looks like. And this opportunity placed industry experts as well as mentors in the lives of both Matthias and Chase. And because of that, they now have additional mentors in their life that's going to provide such information and advice to help traject them to their next decision in life as engineers. And because of that, you guys today witness what Black excellence look like. And it's because of research opportunities like this. And for that, I thank you. I definitely want to say that on behalf of the Atlanta University Center Consortium, it is my wish that this partnership that we form become a sustained collaborative relationship for future students to come and be able to participate in programs and once again sit before you to present research that can become a valuable asset to the City of Los Angeles, specifically to your department. So again, thank you.
Robert, you going to close us out?
Yes, thank you so much. We were really impressed by these gentlemen, really impressed by the research. We think this is just one small initial step of what can be done if we work together collaboratively. So on behalf of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the Los Angeles Department of Power, we hope you enjoyed this presentation. This was our final event for Black History Month, but we will continue similar celebrations and similar recognitions of the value and the talent that is before us. So I want to thank you, everyone, for your listening and your attention out there online, and we look forward to our next event. Thank you.
And Chase and Matthias, you guys did an fabulous job. Congratulations. You should be very proud, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Nice to be back.
Okay, moving right along. The next thing we have another presentation. This is regarding COVID-19 update. Hard act to
good
follow,
morning,
huh?
Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to present a report, an update on COVID. My name is Nazir Fazli, Chief Safety Officer. Before we start, I would like to introduce to you and recognize two of our employees that did they played a significant role in keeping our work environment safe for our employees during COVID times. First, I would like to introduce Yolanda Mendo, manager of our resource office, and Mark Hendon is manager of our corporate safety. So resource office is a hub for all COVID-related issues. They assist our employees with their questions. They identify and exclude employees who test positive. They conduct close contact investigations, remove employees who have been exposed, return employees when it's time for them to come back to work. So they play a significant role in controlling COVID at the workplace. Corporate safety, they manage and maintain all of our COVID-related exposure control plan that includes all of our regulatory obligations, including regulations with Cal OSHA standards, as well as local, state, and county public health guidelines. Also, they work with the divisions and groups to implement control measures to make sure the work environment is safe for employees to perform their work. So for that reason, I wanted these two managers to be recognized for their hard work. Thank you. With that, to our report.
Can they come here so we can see them?
Yeah. Yolanda, Mark, would you?
I like being behind the scenes.
So why don't you come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and how long you've been with the department.
Commissioners. My name is Yolanda Mendo. I'm a utility administrator, and I've been with the Department of Water and Power for, 13 years, and another 10 years with the City of Los Angeles.
Hello.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mark Hendon. I'm a risk manager with Corporate Health and Safety. I oversee our team of safety engineers and industrial hygienists, and I've been here for 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. To our report. So on February 1st of this month, this year, 2023, February 1st, City of Los Angeles Mayor's Office lifted the declaration of a state of emergency for City of Los Angeles. Also today, February 28th, State of California will be ending State of California state of emergency on COVID. And at the same time, with lifting of the declaration of City Los Angeles state of emergency, they also revised the workplace safety standards. So some of the changes I wanted to cover today that applies to DWP. First one is vaccination requirements for all non-DWP employees. So any member of the public, when they enter an indoor portion of City of Los Angeles facilities, no longer are required to provide proof of vaccination or a negative test to enter indoor portions of our facilities. As far as return to work early, there is some modification to that. Employees are allowed to return to work earlier than 10 days. If they had symptoms, they test negative on day 5 or later, and if they don't have any more symptoms and they don't have temperature without taking any medication, then they can return to work sooner than 10 days. As far as masking requirement changes, masking is in indoor places voluntary. We will still make our face covering and masking available for our employees, but they are not required to wear it if they don't choose to. Testing is also will be available for all of our employees, and it is not mandatory and it is optional. Employees will have access to testing at any time. There's been a number of regulatory changes in last 2 months. First, Cal OSHA standards, they adopted non-emergency COVID regulations, and these regulations will remain effective for 2 years. The sunset date for it is February of year 2025. Some of the requirements in these standards are the record keeping. We are, as employers in California, we're required to keep all of our COVID-19 exposure records, positive cases, work-related exposures for 3 years until February of 2026. We have to maintain all of those records. Also, the requirements, obligations to remove employees who test positive from workplace and return them back to work when they're no longer infectious. As well as we have to identify all of close contacts, and if the close contacts do not have symptoms, they are not excluded from work, but they have to wear face covering for 10 days, and then they're subject to a testing between day 3 and day 5 from the time when they were exposed. And if the close contacts test positive, of course, they will be excluded from work. Another major change is that Cal OSHA no longer requires employers for the exclusion pay. Prior to this standard, employers were held responsible to cover employees' time when they were excluded from work for COVID purposes, but the requirement is no longer in the standards. In December of 31st of this year, State of California sunsetted the supplemental paid sick leave. So what that is, it's funds for employees to take care of either themselves or even their family members if they are COVID-related issues. So their time would be covered. So that SPSL or supplemental paid sick leave sunsetted in December, at the end of December. The next slide here, we're looking at our number of positive cases. We keep records of all of our positive cases, and we use this to forecast or anticipate any rises, any spikes in numbers, so we can better prepare ourselves. Just taking a look at this histogram, we can see that our numbers are definitely trending down. If we compare our numbers from last January, which is in color gray, we had recorded 1,291 positive cases in January of 2022. In comparison, in January of 2023, last month, we had 205 in a yellow color bar. And next to it, in the month of February, we're trending down, and we have had 147 positive cases so far in the month of February. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've had 7,561 positive cases. Currently, I know on this slide it says 110, but the most current number, 53 employees in isolation, meaning that they have tested positive and they're excluded from work. And we have 19 employees in quarantine, meaning that they have been identified as close contacts and they have been excluded from work because they had symptoms. The number 2.4 is the total number of employees that have been identified as positive cases, and that exposure occurred at workplace. So that 2.4% of our total employees that reported positive, those cases were work-related cases. So this is really a demonstration of our control measures that they were effective. 97 or more than 97% of our positive cases happens outside of work.
But do you really ever know where, I mean, you were saying it's at work, but you know, I mean, it could be at the grocery store, it could be anywhere.
We do investigate every accident, and that will have been the next slide, but we investigate every positive case, and we identify if there's another case in their workspaces during the infectious period, then there is a link and it could be related to each other. But if there's nobody else sick within their work groups, then that case will be excluded. That will be determined to be not work-related. So. As far as our safety protocols, moving forward, despite the fact that all of the emergency states are removing, we will continue to investigate all of our positive cases. We will exclude all of our employees who test positive and until they meet the criteria to return back to work or they are no longer infectious. We will do a close contact close contacts. We identify all of our close contacts, remove them from workplace if they test positive, of course, and require them to wear face coverings for 10 days if they don't have any symptoms, and subject to test on between day 3 and day 5. The ventilation has been very effective in dealing with COVID issues for indoor places. We make sure that the air exchange rate is maximized for all of our indoor places to minimize the exposure possibilities. We will encourage all of our employees to wear face covering, and distancing is recommended. Face covering, of course, will be mandatory if they're identified as close contacts, but ordinarily they will not be required to wear face coverings, but just encouraged to wear face coverings. Our telecommuting, because of all the changing conditions and emergencies being lifted, so we are evaluating our telecommuting policies. Currently, our employees either telecommute 2 days a week or 3 days a week, depending on their positions or classifications. Moving forward, our new normal will include a long-term plan of telecommuting that makes sense for department and employees, and that plan will be developed in coordination with our labor groups. And for our managers, there will be a bulletin going out sometime soon indicating that our managers will be coming to office more often, more frequent than they are now. So there are changes coming up as far as the telecommuting, but we will make sure that all of our employees who are performing their work outside of work, that they are doing it safely. So that will be one of the areas. Up until now, we monitor that, but we have to have plans in place to monitor and make sure that the workspaces that they have available to them, that they are required to do their work, meets our safety standards. So that's moving forward. Also, we coordinate with all other city departments. They have similar plans moving forward, or their new normal also will be some type of telecommuting policies in place. That concludes my report. If there are any questions.
So I do have a question, and maybe it's for Marty. So you're indicating that your group is looking at our telecommuting policy. So is this the right group to look at that, or?
They are part of it. So it's across the department. So it'll be different management teams, labor relations, as well as Nazir's got folks engaged. Even at this point, there are people from groups outside his direct organization who have been part of the COVID response team, working on COVID policies and responses and that sort of thing. It's just this effort during COVID has rolled up to him, and I asked him to include the slide just how we are going forward. But they will be engaged partly because we still have reporting requirements and other health-related requirements, and corporate health and safety has always been a key part of that discussion. So.
Right. So they're a part of the committee that's developing the telecommuting policy, but it's not primarily their responsibility.
That's correct.
Okay, just wanted the clarification. Commissioners, any questions on this presentation?
No further questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is J, filed items. Does anybody have any questions on our filed item? Then we'll consider that
Oh, yes,
filed.
I'm sorry, I do actually have a question on it.
This is on the Elysian Reservoir Community Park Enhancement Fund.
It just triggered a question around, do we have similar funds for other reservoir-related parks or parks? This seems to have come out of, this fund came out of the
mitigation for the environmental impact at this particular location.
At this location, but there were many others that were covered or other considerations done. And so I was just wondering if other neighborhoods and other parks have community funds.
Are you prepared? Well, I guess step in. I don't know if Evelyn had the privilege of being involved in these discussions when they occurred. So at Elysian Reservoir, because it was impacting park space and park view sheds, there was a fund set up for mitigation fund. At other reservoirs, we haven't had other reservoirs in park settings, and so there have been different mitigations at other reservoirs, typically involving the local community and impacts to them directly. So this one is different than others, but they've all had their own share of mitigation efforts.
Interesting the distinction that this was actually in a park. Correct.
Physically, actually on park, particularly on park property, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
And since we're asking questions, so I noticed that it was $12 million, and we're just over halfway of the spending. So everything else is on track, and there's no additional funds that we put into this. Is that correct?
Correct. No additional funds, and we get the progress report from the Department of Recreation and Parks regularly, and we report up to this board on the expenditure. So right now we're roughly at that level spent.
And while we're talking about reservoirs, maybe at next meeting we could have an update on what's going on with some of the other reservoirs that we had been talking about, including Rowena and Silver Lake. And Echo Park, for that matter.
We have some work ongoing, Commissioner, on that, and we'll be reaching out to your office to prepare for a report out to the full board on that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? And that item is filed. And next up is item K, which is our approval of our minutes for February 24th. Any questions or comments on our minutes?
No. I do have a comment. Sure. I just want to applaud the Commission office for the quality of the minutes and how they have improved considerably over the years and just more robust and have the appropriate level of detail. So I just wanted to say thank you for that work.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes. Seconded.
Okay, let's go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner KATZ?
Aye.
Commissioner LEHRER?
Aye.
Commissioner NEEMAN Brady?
Aye. Sorry.
It's okay. Vice President RUIZ?
Yes.
4 ayes, motion adopted.
Okay, it looks like that clears the desk this morning. With the exception of closed session, we will now be proceeding into closed session, and I'll turn it over to our General Counsel for an announcement.
Thank you. The board shall recess into closed session for a conference with legal counsel regarding the items listed in agenda item M. The board shall publicly report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention of every member present thereon in accordance with Section 54957.1 of the California Government Code.